I have never in my life have I seen a van like that. Look, it's got like a gap. It's a motorhome. Excuse the poor quality of lighting, but I've got to get better LEDs. These ones are just pants. And excuse the noise, that's the heater going. It is loud, that heater, but at least it's producing some heat. I went into Tesco's the other day, and what is it with the staff lately regarding the plastic bags? I went up to the do it yourself one service, and there was a lady there. She was like that. She had the bag handle. She had about 50 bags, and all the handles are here. And she was like that with it. And I said, "Oh, excuse me." I said, "Is it okay to have a bag?" She went, "Yes," like that. And she basically frog marched me over to where I was scanning. She took it off like that and scanned the bag, and she went, "Here you go." They're so concerned about people nicking these bags, but yet I've been watching videos on YouTube lately of these smash and grabs going on in Tesco's in London, nicking all these booze and fags and that. And then you've got Tesco security and the staff just like that, just like watching them. But yet they seem to be more concerned about a bleeding plastic bag. I mean, 40p for a bag is a rip-off. And actually, I do have quite a few bags now I've saved up. Now I've got this, but I forgot to bring one with me. I've got about 15 bags now in the space of about 4 or 5 days. But I don't know. Yeah, I was in the high street the other day because I was after a really sharp knife. Nothing expensive at all. I didn't want to spend a lot of money on one. Just to make my life easier. Just to cut an onion, for instance. Because in the past, I've had to use like a spoon. But I went into one shop, and just for I'll get it actually. I've already bought one, by the way. But not this one here. It was about half of that size. And they wanted like £35 for it. And I thought, there's no way I'm paying that. So anyway, I left there and I went into this other place. I can't think of the name of it, this shop. But anyway, I walked in, basically dressed like this, with a baseball cap and that on. And walked in, went up to the lady. She was on the counter section doing all the makeup and that. I said, "Oh, hello." I said, "Do you sell knives at all?" And she sort of basically looked at me up and down and said, "We do," she said, "but you are probably better off going over there and having a look over there." I said, "Well, I've already been over there and there's none that I like." But basically, because that's too expensive, but I didn't tell her that. And she went, "Oh, no," she said, we do sell them here." She said, "And there's a 25% discount at the moment." So she either thought I was really poor that I couldn't afford it. Well, she'd be right there, especially now since I bought this. Or I was a thief. And to be fair, wearing a baseball cap, I'm not saying you're automatically a thief if you wear a baseball cap, but when I was in retail, anyone that used to come in with a baseball cap on and that was youngish, I would keep an eye on them. I don't know why, it's stereotyping, which isn't good. And in fact, one of the worst thieves I ever caught was an old lady in a wheelchair. She had tons of stuff underneath her. But anyway, that's beside the point. I said, okay, well, I said to her, I'll check them out. And she was a lovely lady, by the way. And to be fair, I think I would have said the same as what she did. More because I look like a thief. She said, well, go downstairs, and they're down there in the corner, she went. I said, oh, okay. So I walked down there, got to the knives. Straight away, I was searching for all the prices before I even looked at the knives. And I couldn't see any prices. I thought, well, these are going to be expensive. And there was one that caught my eye. It was about that long. And I called a lady over and I said, by the way, they was all tagged, locked, so you couldn't get to them. And I said, oh, could you tell me how much that is, please? And she said, oh, this one's £80. I said, forget it. I said, there's no way I'm paying 80 quid for a knife that size. She said, well, there is 25% discount. I said, well, even like 60 quid. That's a ridiculous price. I said, no, forget it. And I left. But looking back, what I should have done is first check the returns policy to make sure that I could return it if I didn't like the item. And if that was the case, I wish I'd brought 4 or 5 different knives for a total of like, you know, £300, £400, £500. Paid for it, and then walked upstairs and went to the lady. Oh, yeah, I've got the knives. I've got the knives, and they're all right. They're due for the motorhome anyway, but I'm not really used to poor quality knives, but I suppose I have to do. I said, but yeah, they're nice and cheap. And wait, and then walk out, and then wait for a few days, and hopefully she wasn't there. And if she weren't, go back in and get a refund. Just to prove a point, you know what I mean? But this one I got from Lidl, or Lidl. Is it Lidl or Lidl? £5.99. Sharp as anything. For how long? Especially chopping on a glass worktop, it ain't gonna last. But yeah, ideal for me. Bamboo handle, textbook. It's raining at the moment. It's lovely. And it's quite warm as well. What is it? It's 15.9, which in Celsius, so what you do, you double it. So say 16, double it 32, and then you add 30, so that's 62, and you take away 2 or 3, so that's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And this down there, I don't know exactly, but it does tell you it's 80 to 84, which is really high. It basically tells you how much water particles there are in the air, and the higher it is, the more likely you are to get mould and damp. 87. It's probably because I'm talking. But yeah, it's £4.99 on eBay. 89 now, look. But yeah, I had it to about 40 the other day. 90. Yeah, I'm obsessed with that. 91. Absolute bellend. Why didn't you just wait behind me, you absolute pillock? You ain't going to get that much further, are you? It really didn't get you far, did it, Mr. Lorry Driver? Pointless. Right, I've got to pop to Home Bargains because I've got to get a a ring light, because when I'm filming in the... Oh, what's happened here? Oh, smash up. What was I saying? Yeah, I've got to get a ring light, because I've noticed when I'm filming in the caravan, it's so dingy that you could hardly see my face, which is probably a good thing for some of you, to be fair. But I do like Thai food tea, it's lovely. And I think it's gone under Thai food, unless it's been brought out by someone. That's a good price. I do need a laundry basket. It's £8 though. I won't get it now, but I can't be bothered to carry it. I don't think they stock them. How annoying. I've come all this way and they don't have them. Sorry to bother you, my love. You don't sell ring lights anymore, do you? Ring lights.
As in,
It's like a ring, which is like a light.
is that for?
It's on a stand, and all they're pre down either 14 or 13.
They'll be 14,
Ah,
I think. Because
bless you. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. Yes. God, it's massive though. That's massive. Mind you, it will do the job, won't it? It is £18. Yeah, that was the one I see. But there's none in stock. Mind you, for another £6 you get a big one. And hopefully it'll be bright enough. Yeah, I'll get it. As a kid, I used to love oxtail soup. And I asked my mum once, I said, "It's lovely, this soup, what's it made out of?" She said, "Well, it's ox's tail, hence oxtail soup." And I've never had it since this day, ever. It put me right off. But yet I eat sausages and burgers, so God knows what's in that. A lot worse than oxtail, I can assure you. I've got some Richmond sausages, bread. I'm going to have sausage sandwiches later. And I just fancy, I've got some tomato soup. Minestrone. I'll get a couple of them, 63p. Sausages were £2.30 and the bread was 75p. So. Right, let's try this ring light thing, see how bright it is. Shawing! That's alright, isn't it? Alright, it's got other colours. This, what have we got here? Up, down. Well, I assume that is, yeah, you want it max. Red, well, that'd be good for the dogging sites, wouldn't it? It's like a calling card to say that you're active. It's still dark though, isn't it? That's on the brightest one. I thought I'd get some reflection from my bleeding slaphead. But no. Colour RG, that is the highest that goes. I ain't really impressed with that. It's weird, it doesn't, mind you, I've got to have a look back to see if it is any good. Because from here, all I can see is light, so it might be darkening the screen, if that makes sense. Check this out. Now this is, if you're into dogging, you could have this on as if to say, welcome, all's welcome, the door's open, enter, enter, come in, all for one. I'm getting carried away. By the way, I don't do dogging, I can't stand it. All the people, I've been to a few dogging sites, and they're just weirdos. It's not my cup of tea. Right, let's go back to normal. Pretty much in the dark again. This has decided to give up on me. I tried wiggling all the wires, messing around, and it won't work, so I've got to take it back. The problem is I got rid of the box straight away. I've got the receipt, so they'll have to change it. It lasted about half hour. So again, I do apologise about how dark it is. And in fact, the whole video has been pretty pants regarding footage, like quality. When I'm driving, it's a bit blurry at the moment, and I don't know why. It wasn't like that on the previous, with the previous car, the Blingo. But anyway, right, when I went to Scotland, I managed to. It's from Medway in Kent to Scotland. It cost me about £90 train fare to get up there. So I had one quote, it was 300 odd quid a couple of days previously, and I went back online and it was reduced down to just £74, but that was to Edinburgh, plus I had to go from Edinburgh to Levon, so that's what was a bit more. This cost me 7,400, which was an absolute steal considering the amount of work that's been done on it. In 2022, it's had a new cam belt. It's been sitting for 14 years in storage. It hasn't been used. And when it came out of storage, because it was sitting so long, they reconditioned the gearbox. They put a new clutch in. They had a new cam belt done, and I assume a pump, because you normally do them together. He's had all new seals throughout, all the windows and the doors redone, all recarpeted, all reupholstered. I mean, that cost him over £1,000 just to reupholster the seating. So 7,400 is cheap, very cheap. And the reason I think it was cheap is because it was so far up Scotland. It was so far out of the way, not north, like right up the end, but it does put a lot of people off travelling that far. Down here, something equivalent, you're probably looking at about 12, 13 grand come spring, summer. But I've got no intention of selling it at all. Someone has already offered me money for this, and I've turned it down. I've got rid of the Blingo. That went, scrapped it because too much work needed doing to it. And I just cannot be bothered with it. But yeah, and also what I forgot to put in the previous video. So if you haven't watched the previous video, I'll show you around the camper. I'm not going to show you again in this one, it's too long-winded, but you could watch the previous video. But yeah, what I did forget to mention is how I paid for it, because I thought I'd lost my debit card, but in fact it was in my jogging bottoms in the Blingo, thankfully. But I froze the card, which was handy. And in the meantime, with my banking app, you can get emergency cash. So you apply for, say, £100, say, and then you press enter, and then it come up with a bank code, and then you press that into the cash point, and it give you money. But the problem with that is it would only give you so much per day. And also I forgot which is a bit old hat now, but you get like I don't even know what it is. It looks like a calculator that you get from your banking app, and when you want to do a bank transfer or a big payment, in fact, it's only up to £2,000 a day. So, but anyway, I forgot that. But what you do, you put the card in, you go on your banking app, and it'll tell you to put a pin in, or it'll tell you what the pin is. I don't quite understand it. It's a bit old hat now, but I forgot that anyway. So I was reduced to maximum doing transfers at 750 a day. So that would have been pretty much 10 days being up there. So it would have cost me a further minimum 420 quid to stay at that place that I stayed at. It wasn't even a bed and breakfast or a hotel. I don't know what it was. I ain't got a clue. It was a weird place. But yeah, but when I went round to the chaps, when he picked me up, went round to his house, sat down, and I went to go on it, and it said, went to go on the app, put his details in, and it said on there a one-off payment. So I thought, oh, how handy is that? So I pressed that, a one-off payment. I put his details in, and then the bank checked it to make sure it all tallied up and so forth. So I put the amount in, press enter, and it went through. So I was so relieved. But yeah, it said a one-off payment. So I couldn't have done it again. If I'd messed up, say I put, I don't know, 4,400 in and then done it, I couldn't have then put another 3,000 in because it was a one-off payment. So, but yeah, that was very lucky. So that's how I got it. Diesel wise, it cost me about £110 roughly to get back, which is about 600 miles. So I don't know if that's good or bad. But I'll tell you something, this seems better on juice. I know this is a diesel and my Berlingo was a petrol, but the Berlingo was so juicy. But this seems a lot more economical than the Berlingo. I've just been talking for ages. Is it doing it again? My mouth, when I'm talking, it's not in sync with my mouth. There's something wrong. This whole video has been a nightmare, to be honest. Bad quality lighting. When I'm recording, when I'm driving, it's been bad quality. Everything's just been a nightmare, and I've just been yabbing on for ages, and I've looked back on it, and it's all totally out of sync, and it looks weird. So, what was I talking about? I've been rambling on, trying to think how to edit it in now. But anyway, I'll start off with, I've had a couple of people on YouTube message me saying I'm interested in a Berlingo, will you sell it to me? And I said no, it's scrapped. It's been scrapped. I've had no interest in selling it to anyone. There was so much work needed doing to that Berlingo. It's at least a couple of grand's worth of work. And I'm not saying to the couple of people on YouTube would have done this, but I also had a mate that said, oh, we know someone that's interested. It's a mate, his mate. I didn't know him. I don't know him at all. He said he wants to buy it. And I said, look, I've got no interest in selling it privately. I've done it in the past. I had a VW Polo, and I'd never had the cam belt done on that. And I stated in the advert that the cam belt needed doing, changing. That's why the price was a better price. I lowered the price to have it done. I couldn't be bothered doing it. Anyway, the bloke that bought it off me, I think it was about 6 or 7 months later, he messaged, is it still in sync? Yeah. He messaged me, engine knackered, please advise. I was like, what's going on here then? So I phoned him up. He said, yeah, the cam belt's gone. I said, well, why didn't you have it done? Why didn't you sort it out? I said, I did mention that in the advert. He said, well, you know, it's now, well, I can't use it. I need it for work. I want my money back. I said, you're getting jack out of me. I'm telling you that now. You're getting nothing out of me. I've said that on the advert. That's why it was so bleeding cheap. So I think that was like 550, 600 quid to get done. But people, unfortunately, really too take the mick now. It's got worse. Since COVID, it's got worse, I've noticed. So I said to him to jog on. He threatened legal action. I said, well, do it. I said, I've mentioned it on the advert. He started getting a bit threatening, but I mentioned it on the advert that he needed changing. So as far as I'm aware, I'm covered on that. I said it needed doing. When he took off on it, he was ragging it down the road. He was driving it like a bleeding, like he had stolen it. So it's no wonder why it went. But this is a reason why I didn't want to sell it privately. There was so much needed doing to it, and I know a few months down the line I'd get a message or a phone call. Please advise. This is gone. This is gone. Please advise. People want something for nothing nowadays. Yeah, and I'm sick of it. So I'd rather have it scrapped and turned into bleeding baked bean cans. So I'm staying close to the camera, so hopefully it keep it in zinc. Sync. I'm dyslexic. I'm a nightmare of words. Someone, a lovely person, commented on one of my videos saying, "Could you tell me how to go about buying a motorhome and try and get a decent one?" Well, all I can say is I can't advise you. I mean, it's luck of the draw at the end of the day. There's so many scammers out there, and Facebook. I was on Facebook. I've come off it again. The only reason why I went on it was because I was looking for a motorhome, and within an hour of searching, I come off it. There was so many scammers. You had like 2015 plates up for like 5,692. It was really odd prices. Total scams. You're never going to get a motorhome at that price. So just keep an eye out for that. And they normally have just joined as well. Not all the time, but all the ones I clicked on, they were just joined, like in August or September, whatever, 2025. And they normally only show 4 or 5 photos, but again, it's not always the case. Just be very careful. And eBay as well. I mean, I bought this off eBay, and it was on bids. But there was a couple on there that was too good to be true. Way too good to be true. And a couple of days later, I clicked back on 1 or 2 of these, and the advert had disappeared. It said not no longer available. It said something else. eBay put something on it. Basically, I think a lot of people reported it as it being a scam, so eBay took it straight off. Fair play to eBay. It hadn't sold. That just take it off because it was just scammers. So I can't really give you an answer. I'm not going to give you an answer because I don't want any comeback, unfortunately. But all I can say is just be very careful. Be very careful when you're looking. I phoned up. I think I might have mentioned it, but I phoned up the person that I bought this off, and to me, he sounded genuine. He was an older boy, and it all sort of tallied up. I looked at the old. I typed in the reg on the vehicle check. I looked at all the old advisories and failures for MOTs, and see if all the mileage tallied up. There's only so much you can do. I also had a check to make sure it wasn't stolen. Had any outstanding finance on it, and it tells you all other bits and bobs as well. I think it cost me about £10 or £11. Yeah, I'm still in sync, and yeah. So I had that done, but there's again, it's a risk you take. and I was very lucky with this. But yeah, I'm not going to give you advice and tell you to do this and do that. At the end of the day, you have to make up your own mind and do your own checks. Don't just do your own checks, but just be very careful with scammers because there are a lot lately, a lot. And that's it really. I've got a leak in the shower at the moment, so I've got to get that done. I'm currently back with my parents. I'm in the car park, so I'm having showers around them, and I stayed there for a few nights as well. What else is there? But yeah, I'm probably due to go back because I've got to look for a job now because my funds, I've got to be very careful with what I'm spending. So I've got to look for a little part-time job, 15, 20 hours a week. So I've got to do that. What else? That's about it really. I can't think of what else I've been rambling on about a minute ago. But I think it was just me rambling. A few people said, look, we want more videos. It's very hard work doing videos, and it's not only that, it's getting the content. Some days I don't know, it's hard. It's to produce 2 or 3 videos a week, which sometimes I have done. And if the content's there, I will do it. But I will only do videos when there's something to talk about, if that makes sense. I'm not just going to make stuff up. If something's happened, or I'll tell you about my stories in the past, which I do every now and then I will do one. Or something, something's happened regarding the motorhome, or I visit somewhere, then I'll do it. But I'm not going to keep just producing content 2 or 3 times a week because it just, I don't know, there'd just be nothing to show. So I'm going to try and sort of cut down on my videos. I mean, some of them like an hour and 30 minutes long. And again, you can't please everyone. You cannot please everyone. There were a few people have said, oh, can you do longer videos? I mean, I was doing 20-minute videos, 25-minute videos. So I've done longer videos. And now I've done longer videos. People going, oh, can you do shorter videos? You can't please anyone. So I'll do what I please. I will. If it's 20-minute long, it's 20-minute long. But the previous video was an hour long. And I didn't want to do it in 2 halves because when I started editing, it was where do you stop? I just thought I'll just put it out as an hour long. But it is what it is. I suppose me rambling on, which I do a lot of the time, and I don't really call myself. I don't like the term van life. I hate that term. I use it in a description so people notice it when they type in van life. They notice a miserable me. But I should really just call it some miserable sod moaning, or because I don't really show a lot of van life stuff, to be honest. And I don't really watch a lot of other van lifers. That's another thing. A few people say, what other ones do you watch? I don't. There's a few that I watch, but I don't watch a lot. But anyway, thanks for watching. And I'll see you on the next one.